Welcome writers, game masters, and creatives to the World Builders Tavern. Today we are talking about the anime My Hero Academia, specifically Season 1, although Ali will probably give us spoilers, so spoiler warning for the whole series, be warned. That being said, grab an ale, pull up a chair. I'm Emma, your friendly barkeep, along with Allison.
Hello.
And Christiana.
Hi.
And we are so happy to have you here. Cheers.
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 So, a little background for those who have not watched. My Hero Academia is set in a world where about 80% of the human population has gained superpowers called quirks. These tend to show up when they're around 3 or 4, and can vary wildly. Among quirk-enhanced individuals, a few of them earn the title of heroes, which, as you can guess, are people who cooperate with authorities in rescue operations and apprehending criminals who abuse their quirks, commonly known as villains. Heroes are ranked in popularity, with higher-ranking heroes receiving public appeal, although it is not uncommon for rookie heroes to gain popularity as well. Sorry, I'm so bad with this name. Midoriya.
Yeah.
There we go. For me, that's a tongue twister. I've practiced saying it too, and I still, for some reason, my tongue will not. Izuku Midoriya is our protagonist, and he is a young man who dreams of becoming a hero despite the fact that he was born without a quirk. After an encounter with his idol, All Might, who is the world's greatest hero, Izuku is chosen by All Might to inherit his quirk called One for All, which gives him the ability to stockpile his raw power and pass it on to others. All Might was severely injured by his arch-nemesis in a fight years ago, and so has been looking for a successor. Izuku begins attending the UA High School for Heroes, and over the course of the school year, Izuku and his classmates work hard to improve themselves and encounter the League of Villains in the final episodes of Season 1. So that's kind of a general overview and sort of the plot of Season 1. So, what did we think? Ali, I know that this is a rewatch for you, so you'd watched it before, Christian and I hadn't.
I've watched it many times.
So, Ali, what did you... Oh, you'd watched it before? Okay, then it was just me. For some reason, I thought it was both of us. Okay, scratch that. Ali and Christiana are veterans. So what did you two notice this time around about world building that maybe you hadn't picked up on in first times? Or that you did pick up on first times, but didn't have a podcast to talk about them on?
I was just trying to pay more attention to the world building this second time around. And I just really loved this society based on heroes who are basically celebrities. Because heroes are ranked based on popularity, and All Might is the number one hero, and he's made it his mission to bring peace to Japan, I think is where they are, right? Yeah, they're in Japan.
I'm assuming. Yeah.
Because they talk about other countries.
They reference... Yeah, and they reference the Japanese is it animation studio or Universal Studios Japan. I know they reference as a comedic thing. So
it's just a really interesting society that I want to hear Emma's thoughts on Season 1 first before, because I have thoughts about the later seasons.
I'm holding off because I have big opinions that include more than Season 1. So
the society, the information about how the society works gets bigger and deeper as you go on. Yeah. So I want to hear what you thought, Emma.
I liked it. I'm not a huge anime person. That's never particularly been my niche, so I haven't watched a lot of it, and the stuff that I have watched I tend to not like very much, so I was a little bit I don't know if I'm gonna like it, especially shonen animes have some tropes that just really bug me, and so I was I don't know about this one, but I didn't mind it. I am debating whether I'll continue watching it, but I know if I don't watch it, I'm for sure gonna read the Wikipedia of what happens, because I want to know what happens. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by a bunch of stuff, and some of the world building stuff that I really liked was the sort of turning on its head of some tropes. I like the way they did the chosen one trope, which is that Izuku, right?
They usually call him Midoriya or Deku.
Or Deku.
Deku. Midoriya is sort of a chosen one in that he gets picked by the superhero to inherit his powers and become super strong, but it's because of stuff he's done, because he doesn't have a quirk. He had to study really hard. He wanted to be a hero, so he put all of this effort into studying heroes, finding out what they do. And that's why, because he showed that initiative and because he had that bravery and tries to save one of his classmates from a monster and stuff, then All Might says, okay, you're worthy of being chosen, which is kind of a fun twist on the just oftentimes chosen at
born
random
into it.
or like
yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. I liked seeing all the different quirks. I liked how weird they got with some of the
They
quirks.
get weird. Yeah, they
Like,
get super weird.
Whenever there's something like that, like even with X-Men or stuff like this, I can only, like, I would love to be in like the writer's room when they're like just throwing out, see like what powers could be and see, like, I feel like that's really fun. So I really enjoyed that. And the sort of magic school trope that they do, and of course it's like superheroes, but it falls in that same sort of gifted youngsters school, I think is kind of fun. Like, it always is rife for storytelling because, you know, the audience gets to learn along with the characters, and there's all this friction because they're usually young people who are all dramatic and having all of their drama and stuff. So I really, especially the world building, I really liked. And I really liked All Might after he was revealed to be like dying or really sick and not the like stereotypical hero that he portrays himself to be. So that was also, I really enjoy his like super emaciated, sick blood spurting from his God form. Like, it's gross and it's really nice, and his like personality gets more like cynical and stuff as well. So
even his voice and entire personality
like so
is different.
over everything all the time.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
And the depiction and commentary on kind of social perception, and even they kind of mention like social media being a thing for heroes and how that plays into it, I think is also really interesting and very realistic. That of course that's how society would react. So yeah.
There's a couple episodes, I think they're in a later season, where two of the girls do an internship with a hero, and they're basically just posing for advertisements and commercials and stuff. And the hero's like, yeah, this is part of what being a hero is. You have to do this marketing stuff, and particularly the women have to do it, of course.
Yeah, there was right at the beginning in the first episode when they were introducing some heroes, kind of the first female hero you see is very much leaning into that. Like, she's doing the like Black Widow pose where like her butt's sticking out and she's like looking over her shoulder.
And all the paparazzi are like, money shot.
Yeah. And it's clear that she's doing that on purpose to like gain popularity. So she's kind of gaming the system, which is a little bit of a nice twist on the over-sexualized female hero thing. Although I then felt like the rest of the season, it completely undermined that and did it like tongue-in-cheek, which one of the issues I have with shonen animes is often their depiction of female characters, so that I was not particularly a fan of, but they did it well in the opening, so yay.
I actually, and I see it in Christiana's notes for this episode, that they have the same comment, that My Hero Academia will do these sort of conflicting messages. Like, they'll do something really, really well, and then the next episode will be like, oh, you're just totally the opposite.
They're like, it's like almost the perfect show to watch as like an all-in-one of what to do and what not to do. It's really weird, and I think that's part of why I like it so much, is like, sometimes you're watching it and you're like, what an astute observation, like what wonderful commentary, and then the next episode has like Mineta being a pervert, and you're just like, why you just literally in the last episode it was like this whole commentary about how you don't need to be a pervert, and then it was like, but here comes our favorite little pervert, and you're just like, no, like, come on.
I hate him so much.
He's the worst.
I hate
and apparently
him.
that is like a trope character in anime that's just really popular, and I guess people must still find it funny because they're still doing it.
Like, there's some moments where it's some of the things he says when it's not directed at another character, where like there's one line in season 1 that he said where I kind of like laughed, and I was like, I shouldn't laugh, like that's immature, but it got a laugh out of me. But it's like, oh, I just pooped this morning, so my balls are extra sticky. And I was like, I laughed, and then I sighed and was like, I shouldn't laugh at that. Like little things like that. I'm like, it's directed at himself, so I'll be like, Okay.
Yeah, and that's like just like gross out humor or whatever. So like that's
so
may not be everybody's
okay,
taste, but that's fine. Yeah.
But the majority of stuff that comes out of his mouth is ogling at females.
Yeah.
being a weirdo.
Like Sue saves him and he's immediately like, wow, for a frog, you're all boobs and you're so good at
know.
flotation and that's why we're not drowning. I'm like, she just saved your life. Could you not? Like,
shove him, you know what? Shove him back under there. Like, if that happens
let
to
him
me,
drown.
and they're like, it's because of your natural flotation devices. I'd be like, whoop, and let him go and just be like, we're done. So
I will say one of the things the show does really well is have a very large cast of characters, and almost all of them are super lovable, except Mineta.
he's like the
he's
one.
the exception. But every character is just so interesting and dynamic, and I think one of the reasons the show can do this is because it's visual.
Yes.
Because if you threw how many people are in their class? Like 10, 15? At least 15. I think maybe 20.
Yeah.
If you threw all those students at us at once in a novel, it just wouldn't work. Because even if you describe all of them, you'd forget them. But because you're seeing them in visual format, like, oh, that's the pink girl who uses acid.
Yes.
I remember.
Oh, I love her.
You know?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think they're really using the medium to their advantage, which we love to see on the podcast. Yeah. But I don't know. They managed to make every character unique.
Yeah.
And interesting.
So I grew up with like the 90s X-Men cartoon. I don't want to call it an anime. I don't think it's actually from a Japanese studio. I could be wrong, and I'm welcome to be corrected.
I think X-Men is not.
Yeah,
Japanese.
I think
it's just a cartoon.
First of all, banger of an intro for the X-Men 90s cartoon. Best song ever. Anyways, but I grew up on that. I'm obsessed with X-Men. Like unhealthily obsessed with X-Men. And I hate saying this as such an X-Men fan, I almost think My Hero does the magic school trope better than X-Men because the characters are all so fleshed out. And like, I've read most of the X-Men comics and everything, and like they are fleshed out, but then it's always like Wolverine, Iceman, Cyclops, like they keep in Storm and Rogue, like they just keep going back to the same characters.
Yeah.
This felt like much more alive, so to speak, where every character really felt like they had their own thing going on, and it wasn't just I have this thing going on, I'm gonna go ask Wolverine to help me kind of thing. It was like I have this thing going on, I'm gonna deal with it myself. And like that was kind of like a big difference for me, at least like I said, found. So
there are a few characters that the show focuses on more
certainly
than others,
which you would have to do, like if you had a show and it was 15 main characters,
1 minute
it would
per
be
character.
it would be a nightmare. So there are certainly like
but often,
ones they focus on more, but even still you would have like those little moments and those kind of like offside things of the character doing something,
and often
cool.
you'll get an episode featuring one character. And so there are only like a few characters that don't have that, and one of them's the Tail Man student who his quirk is super boring.
Say,
and I'm like,
could you imagine?
Is it the lion guy?
The one with the tail.
He's got a big tail.
I wonder if that's the guy I think of as lion guy.
His hero name is Tail Man.
That's such a terrible hero name.
Yeah,
I know. Some of their hero names are really funny.
I think that might also be a translation thing, though.
That's
maybe
true.
Where it might sound cooler in Japanese, and then when you translate it, it's super literal and kind of boring.
Do they not come up with their hero names till season 2? I'm trying.
No,
do you even know what
haven't.
they are, Emma?
No, I know Deku, but the other ones, I just Googled him. Yeah, he's the guy, I think of him as lion guy, because he has like the big tail, but he also has like the tuft of fur that kind of looks like a lion mane. And he has a kind of a thing going with Invisible Girl, or it seems like it, but he is very boring.
I didn't notice that.
They seem to be flirting.
He's not super interesting, and Sugar Man, you get a little bit of Earphone Jack and Tentacle. You get a little bit of.
I love Earphone Jack though. What a
She's
awesome.
awesome.
That's one of those examples of like really interesting world building, and also Cellophane with his like just tape. Like, what's your superpower? Just tape. Like,
Cape.
it's so
Okay.
funny when you think of it, but then when you see it in action, you're like, that would actually be so cool and helpful kind of thing. So
I think it's really fun because superpowers are so overdone that it's just like, let's just think of the weirdest thing.
I have engines in my
calves.
calves, so I run real fast.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I don't know, for some, like, something about the show is just, I think, partially nostalgia for me, like, with growing up with a love for X-Men, and then just seeing it just like, okay, you know the X-Men, but do you know a girl who's part frog? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, yes, Toad from X-Men. But second of all, no, she sounds sassy. I want to know more, kind of thing. So.
I think one of the things that can be tough with world building when you have a big cast, specifically of people with all special abilities, is that sometimes abilities get revealed later that you think to yourself, well, you could have used that. Why didn't you use that 10 episodes ago when this thing came up and you're telling me you had this all the time?
It would have been
in this case, kind of
really
the reverse.
helpful in the last fight.
Yeah, exactly. But in this one, I was even thinking, because right at the beginning, when they first start, their teacher puts them through this like quirk test to analyze their quirks and like how strong they are. And so you get to see some of them doing this. You don't see everybody go through it, but their tests are like, throw a ball as far as you can. And he's really on Deku and being like, you're useless. You can't do this. But like, you see all of these people's quirks in the last battle of the episode, and it's like, how is this guy who has sticky spheres growing out of him, how did that help him do the throwing the ball test? Why wasn't he getting like clearly he would not have ranked well, and that was a very convenient episode
Deku
test.
last in the class when we have sticky balls over here? Like, how would that help you run 100 meters or throw a softball?
Yeah, or having a tail. Okay, how did that help you in this test? Which, like, obviously for suspension of disbelief, but I just kind of found that, and the like underdog chosen one trope where he has to be at the bottom so he can overcome and become really powerful. But it's kind of like I had to suspend my disbelief a little bit extra for that.
I really love that he isn't powerful, even with this amazing quirk, and like it hurts him at the beginning. It hurts him for a long time. Like
it's like the consistent battle, and you see that in a couple other characters too, like Todoroki. And I think this is like a season 2 thing. We find out that so he always uses ice. Todoroki, I think it's Todoroki.
Yeah, so his quirk is he can do cold and heat,
but he didn't adopt major spoilers. Sorry. So his parents got together and married and had kids as like a quirk arrangement because they're like, we're going to create the most powerful kid, fire and ice. But he didn't adopt he adopted his dad's flame quirk, but did not adopt the ability to be resistant to flame.
Oh,
so that's part of his scarring and things like that, and like,
I was wondering about that because you only see him use ice in the first season, so I was kind of like, why isn't he using fire?
Because the fire hurts him.
Oh,
no,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's not the reason why, though. He doesn't use it because he's mad at his
daddy. He has daddy issues. But that's also part of like a reasonable explanation kind of thing. So like,
I didn't even catch that he wasn't flame resistant.
It might be just a manga thing. I've read some of the manga too. Oh. This is where I reveal I'm a giant My Hero Academia dork.
I'm not sure if that is in the show.
Let me see. I'm on the Wikipedia right now.
Just a manga thing.
Because in the show, he says he uses his flame quirk, but he won't use it in battle because he wants to stick it to the dad.
Yeah, because his dad, since it was like an arranged marriage, his dad was super hard on him with training him and everything, and it took him a while to even realize he had
just an abusive parent.
And just a bad guy.
Kind of made his mom go crazy and made his siblings
or Todoroki
feel
and there's
inadequate.
There's other siblings in that family that come up later too, not in season 1. So it is interesting. I feel like
really interesting dynamic.
Season 1 I felt like was really just setting up the world. Like it just felt very like, okay, here's a cool world and a bunch of cool fight scenes and a little bit about each character. Don't you care? And then season 2
Yeah.
and onwards, you start actually like getting into the characters and caring about them a bit more, I find.
So that quirk marriages being a thing,
Yes.
because Todoroki's dad has a fire quirk, and his problem with it was that he overheated a lot, and so he basically bought a wife.
Yeah, it's really messed up.
She had a choice, but you know, how much choice did she really have? So, that society, I find that world building so interesting. Just how
I feel like that's also what would happen, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
sad that we live in a world where that's what it would be, but it totally, well, even now you see
it's so realistic.
with like, and absolutely zero shame to those who like use donors and stuff for having babies and everything like that. But like, I read an article a while back about like, I think it was from the New York Times, and it was these super rich people who are like, we want to have a baby, but we want it to have the best genetics. So we're finding a donor that has like an IQ of 180 and is super tall and blonde and like all these weird, gross things. Like, I feel like we're already almost on that kind of precipice, so to speak. So it's not shocking to see that reflected.
Yeah. And the media aspect and the celebrity aspect gets really played with in later seasons.
For sure.
There's a villain who comes up, Stain, who is just mad at all heroes for not being true heroes because they just want the fame. And so he goes around killing all the heroes who don't deserve to be heroes. And it's an understandable villain motivation, because he's right. A lot of heroes are only in it because of the limelight. And when things get difficult in later seasons, a bunch of heroes quit because it's just too hard.
Yeah.
I think it also shows sort of the like also how the media gets in the way of heroes doing their work. Like even in the first season, you see that with when at the end of the season, the villains are able to infiltrate the school in part because there's a big crowd of paparazzi at the front because they hear that All Might is a teacher at the school, and so they're all clamoring. And Eraserhead, which is a great superhero name, who is one of the teachers at the school, he thinks to himself, like, how does All Might ever get anything done with all these, like, reporters harassing him and stuff? So you even get some of that commentary there, and then also showing how, like, the media and the paparazzi, like, get in the way and have no respect for, like, people's privacy or boundaries and that sort of thing, which is also very dark and interesting to comment on.
Yes.
Also, practically speaking, villains have an advantage because they know the hero's quirk, because they've seen them on TV and know exactly what they can do.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah. How do
So they can prepare. I mean,
Well,
they don't
even,
necessarily know what
like,
hero they're going up
Deku,
against.
he's doing it for good reasons. He wants to be a hero. He is like in the middle of a monster attack in like the first scene of the first episode of the first season kind of thing. And his first thought is like, I'm taking notes. Oh, that's Mount Lady. Here's what she does, kind of thing, right? So, like, it's all very publicly available information, which, you know, my brief military stint, not what you want to do. You do not want...
Just have all of your secrets broadcast.
Like, you don't want the combating forces to know absolutely every single thing you have and can do, right?
Yeah.
I love underpowered Deku so much. I miss him. I don't like the later seasons as well because he uses his brains. I think it's in season 2 when they're doing some sort of tournament or something, and he knows that using his quirk will hurt him, and so he has to come up with other ways of accomplishing the tasks, and he does.
And it's so good.
And I just love that so much because you don't really have to be have a quirk to be a hero kind of message.
I think this ties into what I'm sure Allie and I could go off onto the world's longest tangent about how quirks...
Tell us.
Like how quirks... I don't know if it was intentional, which is interesting, but how quirks can represent ability and disability. So like if 80% of the world has quirks, 20% of the world are then disabled in a sense, right? Like they don't have access to the same level of like powers and things like that. And if 80% of the population has quirks, the world is going to be built for people with quirks, kind of thing. Thus rendering, because like disability only exists because society allows it, right? Like if every single place was perfectly accessible, disabilities wouldn't be as big of a deal, right? I still say that they're still a big deal, like as someone who deals with like chronic pain and fatigue and things like that.
Yeah,
like,
chronic pain's not going away.
It's not going away.
However accessible.
But if every shop had a ramp instead of stairs, it, you know, life would be more accessible for me, kind of thing, right? And I would have loved to see a story where Deku never got a quirk and he still became a hero, right? Like you don't need that kind of thing. But then on the flip side, All Might is a great example of like spoon theory and what it's like where, yes, I could do fantastic things, but I only have about 3 hours of it in me per day.
I love using All Might as a disability example, particularly the episode at the end of season 1 where the students are doing training that's they're supposed to be saving people, like it's supposed to be rescue training with 13. But then villains invade the training facility. And All Might was supposed to be teaching them, which is why they invaded. Yeah. But on his way to work, he decided to save a bunch of people and used up his powers. And so when he gets to work, he doesn't have the energy and he doesn't have his hero form anymore to teach the students. So he has to stay away. And I'm like, what a great analogy, because he didn't have to do those things. Like, he could have left those. There were other heroes patrolling that would have done the job, but he chose to do that because
he cares. Yeah.
He cares, but also
the pressure and the obligation.
The pressure and just the feeling that I have to do this and I have to be healthy and strong and do the things, even though his body literally can't do it.
Yeah.
And it just gives me all the feels, because that's how I feel all the time. I'm like, I want to do all the things, and sometimes I do push myself too much, and then I can't do the thing that I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And then he does make it to the villains eventually. He makes it late, and he fights, and he pushes himself further than he should, and as a result, he does win. He does beat the villains, but as a result, he can't be in his hero form for whatever. The time is significantly reduced that he could be in his... So there's a consequence to what he does. And I find that just so realistic.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's just really funny, though, because the entire show sort of pushes forward this other idea that you can go beyond and plus ultra if you just try hard enough, and you can do 1,000,000%. And my husband always gets mad whenever Midoriya is like 1,000,000%, because there's nothing above 100%.
I know, like
anyway.
at the end when All Might is like punching the bird guy. I'm blanking on his name. Phenomenal character design, by the way. Obsessed with the way that villain looks. And he's punching him, and he knows that he has like shock absorption. He's like, I'm gonna like time it out and punch him fast enough and hard enough that it like overloads him. And they're like, Deku is like, he's punching at over 100% for every punch.
Each of his punches are over 100%. I also, that line stuck out to me.
I was like, shut up, Deku. Like,
that's not how percentages work.
That's not how percentages work at all. The fact that he's punching him that hard does not mean it's over 100%. Like, it's... Yeah.
I think there is something lost in translation. I think what they are saying is he's trying.
He's pushing it past
really hard.
His own
he's pushing
limits.
himself. Yeah.
Which I think is like,
but it's just funny.
It's very funny phrasing. Yeah, we all watched this, I believe, in English, or did either of you watch the
I watched
version?
In English.
I've watched both subs and dubs before.
Super nerd.
Super giant dork. That's why you guys love me. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
But I feel like even sometimes with subs, like they're still translating direct phrases. Like it's very different, right? Like
it's still
like if I were to say in English, kill two birds with one stone, if that was like probably directly translated to a different language, like there's not, it's hard to translate like phrases and turns of phrase and things like that, because like there isn't necessarily always a direct perfect comparison kind of thing, because it's very unique to each thing. So there's some things like that too, where it's like, yeah, he's punching at over 100% with each punch. I'm just like, I assume this probably had a lot more meaning in Japanese and like related to a conversational phrase or something like that.
Yeah. Although, I mean, it also could maybe not be like there isn't like because I feel like you could see
another
that in
shonen thing too.
A superhero here, movie here, or like a cartoon here, where someone would say that just to like because it sounds impressive to be like, oh, it's over 100%, and like that means that it's. So it could also just be a not every phrase or not every line is considered for its grammatic accuracy. Sometimes it's for the effect, but it sometimes is also funny because
it makes me think of like Dragon Ball Z in the 90s where he's like, it's over 9,000! Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Over the top. Anyway, we could keep talking, and we will in After Hours, which is for our patrons. So join us at Patreon if you want to watch those.
We're gonna guess each other's favorites and least favorites. It's gonna be
characters.
Which I think the least favorite we all already know. But
I think we already know all our least favorite character is Mineta.
Yeah, he sucks.
Spoiler, not spoiler. Yeah. So for our proprietor's pick, I have chosen a middle grade novel called Saving Fable by Scott Rantgen. It came out in 2019, and here's the summary. Indira has been a character in waiting her entire life, so she can't believe her luck when she's finally chosen to travel to Fable and study at the renowned Protagonist Preparatory, a school known for producing the best heroes.
That's so cute.
But Indira's dreams of achieving hero status don't exactly go as planned. A failed audition lands her in the school's side character track, and her best efforts to prove advisors, famous characters like Alice from Wonderland and Professor Darcy, wrong are constantly sabotaged. Indira is starting to feel like an evil antagonist might be to blame.
That's so meta. I love it.
I know. So meta. I adore it.
So you have the superhero school, kind of the fame and the lesser appreciated, and then an additional of just like all the characters from literary fame. Sounds really fun.
That also reminds me of, I'm concurrently, while we're recording this, watching the show Gen V, which is based off of The Boys, which is based off of like superheroes. It's like students going to a school, they're all superheroes, they're being ranked, who's like going to make it to the top 5 kind of thing. And it's interesting, but this sounds way more meta with the literary figures, and also Gen V is weirdly raunchy. I wasn't expecting that, but it's really good.
Which this book is probably not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if Alice in Wonderland is involved, I'm assuming there won't be gratuitous nudity. But
and it's a middle grade novel.
And a middle grade. I would hope not. I would hope not.
Yeah. It should be.
Things have changed since I was a kid, but I don't think that.
I don't think that yet.
Hello, world builders. Allison here. Did you know that the World Builders Tavern has a Patreon? True story. You can help us keep the lights on and listen to our bonus After Hours episodes. Find us at patreon.com/worldbuilderstavern.
And with that, it is time for last call. So we are going to leave you, listeners, with some world building questions and advice based on everything that we have learned from My Hero Academia. So Allison, what do you think we can take away from the world building of MHA to apply to our own worlds?
I think you should watch how the show treats disability from both angles and consider if you're going to include disabled characters to do it the All Might way instead of the I can do anything if I just try way. Yeah. And if you're interested in learning more of my thoughts on this, I actually have an entire article about how to write disabled characters in sci-fi and fantasy specifically, and I can link to it in the show notes if you want to check it out.
Please do, Allie.
Awesome. Yeah. And Christiana, I see here in the notes that you have one that kind of connects to that. So what do you think that we can learn from My Hero Academia about world building?
So be cautious, but also willing to accept unexpected metaphors. So, for example, as a queer person, X-Men became really popular with the queer community because this idea of, like, at puberty, you change and develop these weird things, and you have to come out to your parents. Like I think it's an X-Men 2, Iceman coming out to his mom. Coming out, I say in quotation
have you
marks.
Considered not being
like
a mutant?
freezing the cup, and she faints, and it's like this whole thing. So it kind of became an unexpected metaphor, but instead of being like, no, that's not what we were trying to say, it's totally different, I feel like they embraced it a lot. And so it's just something to be mindful of. Like if you are writing something in the metaphor, so in this example with My Hero Academia, it ends up becoming a fantastic allegory for disability. And if a lot of disabled people are relating to that content, listen to them. You know what I mean? Like be open. Like sometimes it's really unintentional. You write a story and then you find out a certain marginalized community is really connecting with it. Instead of shirking them or being like, that's not what it's about, take a moment to be like, okay, why does this connect with you? Like, why does this make so much sense and hit home for you, kind of thing, right? Like, so like be willing to kind of see what your audience is reacting to and why they're reacting to it.
Yeah, I think because I really appreciated both of your takes on My Hero Academia and it being sort of an allegory for disability, because that's not something that I necessarily picked up on or thought was a metaphor in there. But since I have different life experiences, I don't come to media with the same things, and maybe it wasn't intentional. Like maybe they didn't sit down and be like, well, we're gonna like make this a disability allegory, but stuff gets in there, and how your audiences react and, you know, unintentional things that you put in there is just as important as intentional things, which also beta readers, like that's why having beta readers and having sensitivity readers is really important, because if they had shown that to people with disabilities before screening it, maybe they would have gotten like, hey, do you know that this is in here? Do you know how you're portraying this? And maybe
it could be an unintentionally positive thing too, right? Like All Might, I'm assuming it was unintentional. I feel like I need to do more reading on it, but I'm assuming that wasn't like the thought process. I'm assuming the thought process was, how can we give this character a weakness, kind of thing. But instead it ended up being just deeply relatable for people like Allie and myself.
And the whole, you can do anything, just try it a little harder, is a very anime thing.
Yes.
Like that's in so many anime.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised to see it there. It just bothers me whenever I see it, because I'm like, that's not how life works, but it is how anime works. So, you know.
For my advice, I would say look at the celebrity culture in My Hero Academia and see if that's something that applies to your world. If you have a world that has things like social media, like technology, information technology, it's not realistic that there would be things like superpowers, if they're well known, that then wouldn't become celebrities and cults of personality, because that's just what we as people do. We love to create, for lack of a better word, heroes. We make heroes out of regular people who happen to be in movies. So what would we do with non-regular people who can, shoot fire out of their hands? I think that I also, so to bring in another piece of media, I love also how Hunger Games played with propaganda and information dissemination and that sort of thing. I think it can add a really interesting layer, especially given that your audiences live in the real world where we have these things, and it can make for some really interesting character relationships to each other and relationships with themselves, and the conflict between actual personality and the personality that you put on for other people. And I always think that adding more layers and more complexity makes stories interesting and can add depth in really interesting ways. So I would say think about that. Think about how the public perceives things that are unique and special and quirky in your world.
Good pun, Emma.
I need a little drum set. No. That was something I was very interested in. I'm wondering what quirks is like in the original Japanese, and if it's kind of as
that's
the
like
word
a
feels
translation
weird.
thing.
Like it feels weird to have it called a quirk. So I'm wondering if it feels as weird in Japanese, or if it was kind of like that's the closest thing for strange
I like
power.
the word.
Oh, I love it. I
It's
adore
grown
it.
on me,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It just seems so. It's just not a word you hear very
I
often.
love
So it
it,
kind of
but
threw me.
you're right. That's a really interesting question of like, is that a translation thing? Like, what's like the? I will not purport to know any Japanese whatsoever. What's like kind of like the equivalent to quirk? Because to me, quirk feels like kind of a specific, like English speaking thing. Like it's a very specific word. So I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Like, was it a translation thing? Like, what's the closest word in Japanese, and what does it actually mean by their definition? I wonder.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we can't give you the answers to these questions.
Listeners,
Sorry.
do research and then come back to us.
Say,
Tell us what the answer
that wasn't
is.
actually me asking you guys. That was me asking the listeners. It was actually
listeners.
homework.
If any of our listeners speak Japanese, please tell us.
Tell us what the closest
we're very interested.
translation to quirk is. Send it to me on Twitter as soon as humanly possible. Your deadline is 2 hours after this podcast goes live. Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, that is a great segue for me to say that is closing time. Of course, you continue to find us on Discord, Twitter, and TikTok. On Twitter, we are at WB Tavern Pod. On TikTok, we are at World Builders Tavern. And Discord is linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Tavern. We hope to serve you here again very soon. And of course, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/worldbuilderstavern for extra after-hours episodes. Right now, we're going to go record one where we talk all about our favorite characters and behind-the-scenes updates. But with that, scram, everybody.
Get out of here.
Bye.